Deadlock is awesome, but it's not perfect. Here are 3 problems with Deadlock. Now keep in mind this is still the early development build, so I'm sure these things will be addressed or at least changed in some way by the time the game is actually live. The first thing I want to talk about is the item prices. Now, first off, in the shop, I wish there was a better way to organize the prices, because not everything is 500 or around 1250, and also these price brackets that they have like in the shop that they show are a little bit misleading when some items are, 4,000 instead of 3,000, so you might be looking at that tab, you might be wasting your time, and this is just a very small thing. On top of that, there are a few items that I feel like are not priced correctly. For example, Lucky Shot and Siphon Bullets. I feel like Siphon Bullets is way stronger than Lucky Shot, but they cost the same price. I think Lucky Shot might cost like 5,500, and this is just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think, and obviously this is a small thing. They're probably going to rework how the shop looks later on. The second problem with Deadlock is going to have to be the middle boss. So the middle boss right now, when you kill it, it reduces respawn time for your team. It says by half from what I've read. I don't know if that's completely accurate, but the second thing it definitely does is it buffs your minion waves. So essentially the waves with no one in it are going to push harder by themselves, and your team gets better health regeneration. On top of that, something super important is extra souls. While the mid-boss buff is active, killing minions drop 50% more souls. So if you have like a late game scaler or hyper carry, this is obviously going to be the best time to like pick up those much needed items. I think with the buffs that it gives right now, you should only need like half your team. You shouldn't need the whole team or a majority of the team to kind of show up. Now obviously you want your team to show up just in case the enemy team shows up, but this thing is pretty tanky and beefy, and on top of that, to actually claim the buff, you have to heavy melee attack the item it drops, and I think that's a little bit just like wacky. It's like, why even add that? You should just be able to stand on it, or like, stand around for a second and there's like a bar that says like claiming buff or whatever it is. But I just feel like the mid-boss is slightly out of place, and for basically needing your whole team because it's so important, there's not really any other jungle creeps like this, I feel like it's a little bit underwhelming at this point. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. The final problem in Deadlock is going to be the lightning rods. So if you've played a majority of the cast, you probably haven't even ran into this issue. So there's lightning rods that sit on top of a couple buildings in Deadlock. You can find a couple near the walkers on each side of the map. Essentially, if you're near these rods, if you're too close, if you're on the same building as these rods, you're going to get zapped for 10% of your health. And I know it doesn't sound like too bad, but really it's only nerfing Vindicta. Vindicta is the only character that can like fly up and down at will. There's also Grey Talon who can float, but his ability is more to like clear waves or deal damage to enemies, so you'd have to like waste your ability to get to one of these spots anyway, and on top of that you're just gonna get zapped. So it's only really nerfing Vindicta because you can get zapped while you're flying around. You don't even have to land on one of these buildings. And it's not like it's inaccessible by any of the cast. You can see I got here with Paradox. I'm getting zapped with Paradox. And obviously she has no flying or any mobility. But I just don't really understand why these lightning rods are here. Like, if these areas are meant to not be accessed, or if it's supposed to be like strategic, like, oh, you can stand here but you're going to get zapped, I don't really understand the point, because it just makes the flying, like the one flying character, so much worse. At some point, there's going to be enemies looking at you and you're going to be low on health. They're going to one-shot you. This game doesn't have guns like in Counter-Strike. Like, if you get a headshot in Counter-Strike, it's going to one-shot. In this game, I mean, you need multiple headshots. Unless they're super low, you might be able to one-shot them. But like, even with Vindicta, with her ult, you might be able to do like 500-ish damage. And this is like later in the game. And most enemies are going to have like 1,600 health. So I guess a third of their health for you being in a weird spot is kind of, whatever, that you can say what you want about it, but you're getting zapped for 10% of your health every few seconds, and by the time you shoot them, if they happen to notice you, you're probably going to get shot down, or at least like poked enough to where maybe even the zap could kill you at that point. Guys, before you flame me in the comments, I know that Ivy can fly. Ivy's flying ability is her ult. That's a much longer cooldown. On top of that, you're probably carrying an ally with you, so that only magnifies the issue. Having the lightning rounds in the game, it just seems counterintuitive, and it's nerfing 3 characters that basically do not need to be nerfed in my opinion. Anyways, guys, that's the end of the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.